And welcome to Talk It Out, where we talk it out. My name is Duryea Rashad, and I'm so happy to have you all here. I think it's our first post-Thanksgiving show, and tonight's topic is what's the problem with partisanship? So we're going to talk about the issues that exist in the two-party system, whether they're actually there or not, okay? So I want y'all to check in with us in the comments. I also want you to like, share, and subscribe. If you're watching us live right now, share with your friends, retweet, repost, TikTok, whatever you need to do so we can lengthen and grow the Talk It Out family. Also, just to remind you, Talk It Out is a place where people of opposing views can get together and have a healthy, productive dialogue in a respectful way. Keeping in mind that it's not always about proving who's right and who's wrong. Sometimes it's simply about listening and being heard. Now, I also want to remind you to like our page on Facebook at Woe Nelly Media or WNM Talk It Out. You can also find us on Instagram at WNN. Goodness gracious, WNM_Talk It Out. They laughing at me backstage. I can see y'all faces. All right. So without any further ado, let's get some other people in here because apparently I don't know how to speak in English. First to the panel is returning panelist, my good friend from college, Kimberly Render. Hey, Kim.
Hello, hello, hello. Thanks for having me back on.
I love having you back on.
Thanks. I'm pretty good. I just got back to New York after Thanksgiving Friday. So I'm on day 6 of quarantining. And I'm going crazy, but I'm in my house doing what I'm supposed to do. So
heard. All right, let me tell y'all a little bit about Kim. Kimberly Render is a soprano, born and raised in Columbus, Georgia. She can be seen performing on classical stages all across the world. She recently made her off-Broadway debut at the Lincoln Center Theater in the cast of Intimate Apparel and new opera by Lynn. Say this for me, Kim.
Nottage.
Lynn Nottage and yes. Ricky Ian Gordon. In the fall of 2019, she also made her Metropolitan Opera debut in the esteemed chorus of the Grammy-nominated record-breaking new production of Porgy and Bess. We have a Grammy nominee in the house, everybody. Okay? Off stage, Ms. Render can usually be found in the classroom or working with youth in some capacity. She's a certified music educator who is passionate about helping students reach their full potential. Thank you for being here with us, Kim.
Glad to be here.
Okay, next returning to the panel is Dr. Tanya Davis. Hey, Tanya.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Duryea. I just wanted to say, I wanted to give a quick shout out to my dad. He might be watching again tonight, and I think he likes watching your show. He doesn't always like what I have to say, but I think he appreciates the conversations that we have.
Yes, I get you. And so, I appreciate the appreciators of the conversation.
Yeah, you got a lot of those. And I also want to say congratulations, Kim. That's awesome.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Glad to be back.
A little bit about Dr. Davis. Dr. Tanya Davis specializes in training and education and has strong feelings about information literacy and Gen X regarding social media. You can follow her on Twitter at Tanya Davis 1975. All right, another returning panelist is going to be my good friend from high school, the dancing diva herself, Miss Sam Harden. Hey, Sam. You're muted.
Sorry. Hey.
It's okay. Hey. Sam is a realtor with 2 beautiful daughters. She has an edible business called Marley Bears that focuses on making THC-infused gummy bears. And she's a dancer. Now, before getting into real estate, she found the dance department at a local Atlanta charter school. Besides dance, she loves the water and is a mermaid at heart. Welcome back to the show, Sam. So happy to have you here.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here.
Awesome.
I love every chance I get.
I'm just glad that people are glad to come back because, you know, it says a lot about the circle of friends that I have. Y'all are dope. All right. Now, is this our last returning panelist? Yes, our last returning panelist is, I want to say a good friend and a mentor, but he's definitely a guy who has a lot of knowledge. So I want you all to welcome back to the panel, Mr. Paul Pierce. Hey, Paul.
Hey, Duryea. How you doing?
I'm doing very well. Paul Pierce is in his 33rd season of and producing artistic director of the Springer Opera House, the State Theater of Georgia. Since 1977, he has worked as an actor, playwright, director, and arts administrator. Paul has voted in 13 presidential elections and countless congressional, statewide, and local elections over the past 48 years. He has voted for Republican, Democrat, and third-party candidates. Welcome to the show, Paul.
Looking forward to it. You're such a great interviewer, Duryea. This is really part of the fun of being here. The community you bring together and what you bring out of it is really fantastic.
That's very sweet. Y'all better stop because we ain't even into the show yet. I have to make it through the show. But thank you. I appreciate that. And I really appreciate that last tidbit about how you voted for every party. So that's dope. All right. So now let's get some new blood in here. Let's start with Remy. Yep. Hey, Remy.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going well. How are you?
I'm doing well today. I actually
Nice.
am just kind of getting settled back in at home. I recently just moved back to New York, so yeah, kind of exciting.
Are you like upstate or are you in the city?
I'm on Long Island.
Mm.
It's like I guess it's neither, right? Long Island's not the city, so but it's not gonna do.
I wouldn't know. Kim would know. I wouldn't know. Okay.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Cool. All right. A little bit about Remy. Remy is a 35-year-old Army veteran who currently works as a courier for FedEx. He sees himself as an independent with no real political affiliation. He leans toward whatever he feels is right. He wakes up every day trying to be better than he was the day before and looks forward to learning as much as possible. That's a great outlook.
I appreciate it. And I definitely jumped on here because you seem like one of the more reasonable people in that politics page we take part in. So I definitely wanted to hop on and try to have some actual real conversation.
That page wild. It's wild.
Yeah,
You'd be so
it's absolutely insane. I
It's
know he
wild.
had to leave because he was afraid he was going to get doxxed. So
Oh, I didn't know that was a thing until doing the show.
yeah. I know. And he's pretty doxable. He's a doctor and a surgeon and everything. So he's like, I got to go.
It's crazy.
But,
That's the biggest reason I haven't been able to get a lot of conservatives on the show, to be honest, because they're afraid of that happening. But you know, it is what it is. It's a positive community. Anybody who's watching that wants to be on the show and you're worried about all this kind of craziness, we don't do that up in here. I don't allow it, even if I disagree with you. All right. So let's get our next panelist in here. Okay. This is a new panelist, Christian. How you doing, Christian?
Hey, how you doing, Duryea?
I'm doing very well. He said my name right too.
I had to listen the first time. I had to hear it first.
He's quick. He's like, let me.
I was gonna say Duray, but the extra syllable in there.
That's how my granddad says it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want you calling me pops or nothing.
No. So Christian works in the banking industry. His hobbies include poker and gaming. He says that the only qualification he has for this episode is having a long and storied history of arguing on the internet. But at least you can admit that, though. You know what I'm saying? You can admit that. All right. And because we had a vacancy in our seat for our panel, the lovely and wonderful Miss Ricky Z will be filling in for our 8th seat tonight. Hey, Rikia. I can't see your...
I'm muted. Sorry.
You're muted.
Yes. Hey, everyone.
Ricky Z is co-host of the best show about geeks and geek culture on the internet called Geeking Out, which actually has a new episode this coming Monday. And I hope you all are there. Other than that, how are you doing, Rikia?
I'm doing pretty well, you know, getting back into school and all that fun stuff. And also, if you didn't watch our last episode of Geeking Out, we talked about our favorite shows that were canceled too soon. So, and it was a pretty wild episode, I like to say. So if you haven't seen it yet, go and check it out.
It definitely was a wild episode. Okay, so before we get into things, I'll give you my little check-in. My check-in is awesome. I feel so blessed to have been able to celebrate Thanksgiving, especially with my mom. She was so over the moon that I was with her and I was cooking with her. It was really a lot of positive energy. I put up a Christmas tree and it was a lot of fun. I realized that I'm not one of those over decorators. I'm very like I don't know. I like to see the tree because as soon as I put mine up, I was like, this might be too much. And then I saw somebody else's tree on Facebook and I said, nope, not too much. All right. So let's go into a quick ad break before we start our current events.
Be on the lookout for these upcoming projects from the Springer. Just in time for the holidays, it's the Winter Wonderettes, playing December 10th through the 20th, and a premium screening of Home Alone, playing 3 showings on Saturday, December 5th. Head on over to springeroperahouse.org now to get your tickets. And while you're there, check out information about Giving Tuesday and see how you can support your local theater with a donation of any size.
We are counting down the days to closing out the beautiful Frasier. And one of the things that I really love about our projects, because we named them, we built character, they're almost like your little baby, and you're ready to present it to the world. And one of the things where you look at the little details, and then we start to nitpick, and then before you know it, a few weeks turns into a few months, and before you know it, your project is prolonged more than you thought, just for the little details. But one of the things you have to do is just breathe, relax, and trust the process. Know that you're exactly where you're supposed to be and you're doing exactly what you're supposed to do. And as long as you stay in committed action each day, you will ultimately get to completion. These things and more, we help investors get their start in real estate investing. So contact us, visit us at it'sjessicamyers.com to learn how you can get your start today.
Go and look up, talk it out.
Yeah, but you're not going to be.
That was an ad from it'sjessicamyers.com. They deal in real estate investments. She just opened up her own hotel. I don't know how it works with investments. She'll be able to explain to you better than I can, but she's great to find out those kind of things. So check her out at it'sjessicamyers.com. And that other ad was from the Springer Opera House, their upcoming production of the Winter Wonderettes. So I got to interview the cast of Winter Wonderettes this week. It was an amazing conversation. It's going to be an amazing show. Paul has actually seen bits and pieces of the show. Do you want to tell us anything about it? Ooh, sorry.
Yeah, I got it. Okay. Well, yeah, it's a small cast musical review, Christmas theme, musical comedy review. You know, where it was a show that was originally scheduled for the studio series. And because of COVID, we've moved it into the main stage, reduced seating capacity, distancing, and we've also loaded up the theater with a lot of mitigation tools. And we're supposed to open next Thursday. We'll see how it goes.
Awesome. And make sure you all are going out and supporting live theaters, especially the ones that are opening, and making sure that you all are still safe. The Springer, I know, is going above and beyond to make sure that happens. However, right now, it's time for some current events, which is possibly my favorite part of the show because we never know where this is going to go. The people on the panel have no idea what I'm about to say. They don't know what topics I've picked. So we're going to start out with something easy. We're going to go light. All right, the Real Housewives of Potomac. Okay, so the Real Housewives, look, Remy just, oh God, the Housewives, but it has a point. It's going somewhere. You got to follow me. So the Real Housewives of Potomac just had this big blow up because these two women got to physically fighting. It kind of started where one was overly antagonist. She was reckless with her mouth, said some horrible things. Finally, the girl who was pregnant the last time this happened, she's not pregnant now. So she real quick. But then the girl who was fighting her clearly fought back. It was definitely a two-sided fight. Maybe one through the first hit, but it was definitely like a fight. It was not an assault, in my opinion. But then she pressed charges. So this is my question. Just a question. What's the line in this kind of situation where it's like, okay, I was assaulted versus I was in a fight, but I'm going to be petty and press charges?
Wait, I need some clarification. So the one who started the fight then pressed charges saying she was assaulted?
No. Well, they both pressed charges on each other. What happened was
they both pressed on each other. Okay.
Well, the one who, the girl grabbed the girl's hair and yanked her down. And then the other girl who got yanked down had a glass in her hand, broke it, and started swinging the glass. And the girl actually got cut. She got cut, right? So the one who pressed charges was the one who was swinging the glass. So when she pressed charges, the other girl was like, well, you were swinging a broken glass at me, so if you're going to press charges, I'll press charges on you. But my thing about it is, I feel like if it's a mutual fight, you got to take that loss and just move on. That's how I feel about it. I mean, I'm not condoning, but I'm just saying, if it's mutual, like, so what do y'all think?
Wasn't that self-defense? She took that glass and just started hitting her. That's self-defense, in my opinion. Is it a real fight? I don't know. My favorite part about that whole story was you saying her reckless mouth, though.
It was sometimes you just because you can't just say things to people.
Exactly.
I'm not a proponent of violence, and I don't think violence should solve your problems. But just because I don't think that doesn't mean other people do. You know what I'm saying? So
you might catch the wrong one.
And you know that. Like, I walk around, there's a lot of stuff I want to say that I don't say because you never know who you're going to encounter, what another person's even going through. You know what I'm saying? So to me, I felt like it was petty of her to press charges because she said the only reason she pressed charges is because the girl didn't apologize.
Oh, yeah, that is petty.
Oh, that is petty. Yeah.
Duryea.
Yes, Paul.
I've never seen this television program you're referring to, but let me ask you something.
Okay.
And you haven't missed out on much.
Are these two people, are they employees of this production company?
Of my production company?
No, of a production company.
No, they are.
But do they work for the show? And they're like,
no, they're the
actors.
Technically, yes. Technically, they're talent. They're talent.
This is right. So they are paid to do the show, right?
Right.
So I think anybody that goes into any workplace should expect that they not be assaulted by anyone, a boss, a fellow worker.
Okay.
It doesn't matter that it's a television program. To me, if they are paid to do a job, then they should expect to go to work and do their job safely.
What if that job included getting hyped up and being riled into and jousted into a altercation, a physical altercation?
Job, is to fight?
Well, a lot of times
reality TV. It's reality TV. It's reality TV. That's what it's.
Hold on, wait. Let me, Remy, come on, Remy. You ain't said nothing yet. Come on, Remy.
Well, I was just saying. I mean, the Real Housewives. It's reality TV. Honestly, was the fight even real?
It was a real fight.
So what if it was a real fight? But
it was a real fight.
I mean, you can't say shit to somebody and expect not to get hit in the mouth for it, though. Like, if you're gonna be disrespectful, you have to go in there, you know. And if you can't take care of yourself, that's on you. But you know, if you're gonna have the balls to open your mouth and say something that shouldn't be said, then you should expect to get hit for it, and you should take that loss. You know, like I don't know why are people pressing charges? Well, I can understand the one girl pressing charges on the girl that swung the glass at her, though, because now you're bringing a weapon in, and a broken glass is a deadly weapon. That girl could have, you know, what if that woman had a gun on her? People just need to be smart. You know, like, there's no need for violence in my eyes. If you can't really talk it out, then you don't really belong in society.
I mean, I agree with that to a certain extent. I feel like when you're in somebody's face and you're daring them to hit you, that's a little it's taking it too far. But I want to go back to what Paul said, because I get what you're saying, Paul. You should not go into a work environment and expect to be assaulted. However, her behavior, not at all justifying the violence, but her behavior also would not be accepted in a work environment. Like, the things that comes out of this woman's mouth are just like, if I'm telling you, because y'all know I say crazy stuff all the time, but even me, like, the insults that she would levy at people, it's like, this is the kind of show where they bicker. You know what I'm saying, Paul? But she doesn't do the bickering thing. She like says like stuff about your, you know, dead relatives kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? She goes for like the jugular. And so I get what you're saying. I agree. But in reality TV, the bosses, they goad that stuff behind the scenes. So, hey, why don't you look at the camera and tell us what happened? Or they'll be like, hey, they'll know something, right? And these two ladies are going to lunch. and they'll tell the one lady, oh, make sure you mention this at lunch, but the other lady has no idea. So she goes into the scene thinking everything's going to be like this way, and then once that news hits her, it's like getting reality TV, because it's like now get her reaction. You know what I'm saying? But I agree. I do agree with the workplace part. I never thought of it that way. Either way, okay. Speaking of self-defense, Kyle Rittenhouse.
How did I end up here again?
It's always when you're here again.
I was here.
You were here. Look, it just happened.
Subject, man. Right
It
now,
just happened.
that's
It just happened. Well, he tried to, that argument was brought up in court as a means to throw away two of the charges. Not throw away, what's the correct term? Dismiss two of the charges that were brought against him. I think one was reckless endangerment by a teen with a weapon. I just made that up. But something about a teen, an underage person having a weapon and having it illegally, and that endangering people. I don't know the legal jargon. So the judge, however, felt that there was enough evidence for that charge to stick. Now that's not a conviction, but that's the judge basically saying, you're going to have to prove that the jury's going to have to decide or whatever. So, but he is out. He is free at the moment on bail, and that's where that stands. So, how do we feel about that?
All right, so I don't believe if Rittenhouse is going to face any charges, it should be the ones that he actually committed. Like I'm firm believer that kid defended himself. He had 3 people. He was assaulted. Somebody fired a gun before he even lifted his. He fired.
Did they really?
First, yes. I'm telling you, this shit. I wish I had links and sources. There are videos out there that are showing him running away while the initial attacker is chasing him down. He throws something at him. Someone in the crowd fires his gun, and that's when Rittenhouse fired at the other guy who actually lunged for the dude's weapon. Right. So once you lunge for someone that holding a weapon, you're no longer unarmed because you're fighting for that dude's weapon now. That guy has a reasonable expectation that if you take that gun from him, you can turn it around and use it on him. So he fired at the guy. Unfortunately, the guy died. I honestly don't think it was a big loss, but that's neither here nor there. That's my opinion on him. But at that point in time, that's self-defense. The guy was trying to kill him. The kid's a kid. He shouldn't have been there in the first place. But
that's the thing, though.
Sorry about the.
But that's the thing, though. You said it. He shouldn't have been there.
But he was there genuinely trying to help people, even the protesters. Right? So he was sitting there. He was there. He had his first aid kit. His 16, 17-year-old kid, by all accounts, was a reasonable, decent human. Was trying to help some people out. Like, was he a little gung? I mean, look at his mother. She was in a what do they call those people these days? I don't know. She's like fake military though, with her whole kit and like his mom was, a little bit of a zealot herself, but he went down there to help people. He even tried to put out that dude's dumpster fire, which is started the whole altercation. The guy got mad. I put out the fire, so I'm chasing him down. But then the kid tries to flee. Now he's fleeing for his life, and people are chasing him. They kick him to the ground.
But they were chasing him after he had already killed somebody, correct?
Yeah, but he's the one who called the cops on himself. He stopped to make sure that he was okay, and he started to read the crowd where everybody was like, it was like getting violent and scary. I'm a 17-year-old kid. I just shot somebody. These people are coming at me. I'm going to run too. All right, so he trips and falls, and then the guy comes over and tries to kick him in his fucking head. Another guy comes over and swings a skateboard at his head. He shot both of them.
I get you.
He only shot both of them. So I don't think he was aimlessly firing his weapon, but I do believe you're underage. You have a weapon you shouldn't have at that point in time. So he recklessly endangered people. I'll agree with that. Those charges should stick. If he can find his way out of it, that's fine. Do I think he should be charged with murder? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. He defended himself. The dude that he shot in the bicep pulled a gun on the kid. Pulled the gun out.
Well, he had a gun.
What does that have to do? He had a gun.
Yeah,
the idea that someone should be shot because they have a gun.
Well, somebody's on the ground, right? He's on the ground already, and somebody walks up, pretends to put his hands up, and then goes beyond his weight to pull the gun out. Like, dude, that guy did not have good intentions, regardless of what Kyle Rittenhouse did beforehand. Who the hell is he? I mean, we're all going after those two dudes that that went after Ahmaud Arbery, right, for not minding their own business. Why did that guy mind his own business?
Well,
Mind
hold
your
up
fucking
for
business,
a second, because I want to get some other thoughts on this topic. So, Kim, you were trying to say?
I don't. That was a lot to process. I'm sorry, and some of it was breaking up too, so I didn't get all of it.
I know.
But the idea that like the people that had other people that had guns around Kyle Rittenhouse were somehow dangerous, but this 17-year-old wielding an automatic weapon is not dangerous is absurd to me. Okay, all right. Excuse me, I don't know gun language. I'm sorry.
Hold up. Wait. Let her talk, Remy. Let her talk.
Okay, I'm sorry.
It's okay. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, go ahead. That was the thought. I'm sorry, I don't know all the gun language. But the idea that one person carrying this gun is more or less dangerous than the other people, and they had good intentions, but the other people didn't have good intentions, is problematic in itself. And it's a lot of assumption that you're making on the behalf of people that were there, but you're making good assumptions for Kyle, but not good assumptions for the other people that were there also armed. And I think that's where a lot of the problems lie for me in that process. And then I don't know what was said about the Ahmaud Arbery at the end, but that's a whole nother can.
Absolutely.
It's very different. They're very different situations. But wait, hold up, because I just want to say something real quick. And because I was thinking that when you were saying what you were saying, Remy, I think the issue becomes that allowances are made for him, but like she said, not the other people. It's because what it looks like is the people who felt like those protesters were bad people were fine with what Rittenhouse did because he killed bad people. Not thinking of, and then so they went and they did the old faithful where they go and they find those old charges, or I don't know who these people were before. And I'm not condoning anything that these people did before. I really don't know about it, but it seems like licenses are made for one set of people when it's your side, right?
Okay, now I want to defend what I said.
Wait, hold up. Let me finish my statement. And I'm gonna go. So essentially, it's like this. So if you want people to see how Kyle Rittenhouse is possibly a victim who was defending himself, right? Then you would have to understand how they would want you to see how he wasn't.
Oh, absolutely. So, and I do see why people think it's okay that they chase him down. I mean, if I was there with a gun and I saw somebody shooting somebody randomly, I would therefore go and try to stop it. So with my mentality and everything, I would try to intervene as well. But I do not think that they were bad people because of the old ghost charges or whatever. They just turned out to be. What I think makes them bad is they assaulted the kid for putting out dumpster fire. That's what started everything, right? So that the one guy chased him down. The first death, right? He shot him. In my opinion only, he shot him in self-defense. Everything that happened after is now people chasing down a kid who, he did shoot somebody. He did. I'm not saying the other guy is more or less dangerous. I'm just saying from Rittenhouse's point of view, I'm on the ground. Somebody kicked me in the head. Somebody swung a skateboard at me. And now a dude's coming at me with a gun. So that justifies, in my eyes, the shooting of the following two people. Like, I'm not saying that those guys are more dangerous or they're bad people. Rittenhouse is a good person. I'm just saying this is where I'm coming from. If I'm in a situation, somebody's chasing me down and I have a gun, you're a stupid idiot. I'm fearing for my life and I'm going home. Now, if I'm getting chased by people in the crowd who didn't agree with what I did, now I'm fearing for my life further, right? And I'm running away.
I got you. Let me, I'm going to open up the floor if anyone else wants to chime in on this before we move to a different topic.
Yep. I'd like to say a couple of things on that.
Please.
I'm kind of in the same boat as Remy. I also think that the second group of people that he ended up shooting, if one of them had shot Rittenhouse, they also would have been justified. If that guy who pulled out the handgun actually shot the kid, I think that he could argue that he was defending other people, and Rittenhouse could argue that he was defending himself. I think the whole thing hinges on that first guy, who I do think, he was obviously chasing Rittenhouse. And
you mean the very first guy?
Yeah, the first guy. I've heard that there was a shot fired somewhere. Like the guy that he ended up shooting didn't have a gun at the time, but I think that there was a gun shot beforehand. But he had his back to a bunch of cars, and the guy actually had his hand on the muzzle of Rittenhouse rifle when he shot him. And I think that was pretty much justified. And then I think that, what happened afterwards, that if either of those two people had hurt him or incapacitated him in some way, that they would have also been justified. But that Rittenhouse, I think, was defending himself also. So the second two shots, I think, were, kind of wrong place, wrong time. Like if you decide that that's, you want to be that hero that day, then like that's the risk that you take.
Right. Did you have your hand up, Kim?
Yeah, I have a question for Remy and Christian.
Okay.
So for people that are carrying a gun legally, let's say at a protest, what is the appropriate response if someone pulls a gun on you and you're unarmed and not necessarily making the situation like more heightened, but like what do you think the proper response is for a citizen to pull another gun out on a citizen, let's say at a protest?
First of all, you should never pull a gun on anybody unless you intend to use it. Pulling out a gun as is the most idiotic thing you can do, and that person
for that exact reason what you just said, because if you just pull it out, it just whatever's going on immediately goes from
it's just going to attract any other kind of guns that are
immediately.
Sure, absolutely.
Which is why people wait, hold on. Let me say this real quick though, which is why you don't really sang them. Like most people aren't arguing that he should have had the gun. That's not really people's argument, because like you said, him just having the gun in that environment heightened everything. Because if he didn't have that gun, none of this would have happened. Period.
The kid shouldn't have been there, and he shouldn't have. Period.
I think that a lot of the
I'm just wondering, because you brought up Christian that he put his hand on the gun, and that seems like you're trying to take the gun from him. But also the idea that a 17-year-old has a gun pointed in my face, I don't know how I would react in that situation myself. I'm not a smart thing to do.
He was running away from him until he couldn't run anymore, and then he turned around and then he grabbed the gun. It wasn't like he was just standing in the middle of the street pointing it at everybody, and then someone tried to grab it and he shot him. Like he was actively running away from the guy, being chased. And then when he ran out of room to run, he turned around and the guy grabbed the barrel and he shot him.
Okay.
I will say I do believe him having the gun is the whole reason he was assaulted in the first place. If he was just a normal 17-year-old kid running around trying to help people, he probably would have left alone, but having the AR hanging off his neck, it made him a target. It made him a target.
Well, all right. This is a great topic. I feel like I just need to do a whole episode. Like when we get closer, because like literally, only reason I'm cutting it off is because we literally sit here for like the whole current events talk about Rittenhouse in the past. And no, it's okay. The thing about it is, and I got it a little heat. Were you on it here, Kim, when I said that I felt sad?
Yes.
Yeah, because he's a kid. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I definitely agreed that I don't think it was necessarily so. I personally think he went there looking for trouble. But I think it sucks because there's a mentality that he has that these protesters are bad people. You know what I'm saying? Like they're the thems, but they're not.
Or that there's a benefit of a doubt that a child is there, but the child still killed somebody.
And like, now the child
and the kid, and he's there, but he still killed somebody. There are still people that are dead, and it don't matter how old he is.
17-year-old, and the story would have been different. And y'all
not for me though. Not for me. Listen, Sam.
Yeah, I don't think it would be.
That for me. Whenever I go ahead.
Would have spun it different.
Absolutely.
There would have been because if it was a black team,
that's what I'm saying.
That's true. If it was a black team,
if it was a black team, he also would have been shot by the police.
The story and the media and the coverage would have been completely different, and that's all I have to say.
It's true.
I agree with that part because the fact that Kyle Rittenhouse got out on bail, his however many billions of dollars, because they said the My Pillow man paid his bail.
He did.
I hope that was a lie. I hope that was a lie. Either way. All right, let's move on. Biden. Let's talk about Biden. All right. So Biden says that he is going to ask for the first 100 days of his presidency that there be a mask mandate. I put mandate because I couldn't find a word to actually describe what he's asking for. So it's not a mandate. It's a federal mandate. So any federal land, property, anything federal, you have to have a mask on. But other than that, he's asking that people wear masks. And he says that if in the first 100 days they don't see a difference, then they'll know emphatically whether that helps or not. And then we'll move on from that. So after 100 days, if the rates are going down, the mask works. If rates stay the same or get worse, masks aren't the problem. And then that whole debate is dead. So he that was part of it. He also said that he's going to ask Fauci to be on his panel of the Corona Task Force. Yeah. Because he feels like he believes what Fauci science, and he also said that he is in support of a vaccine. So once they do have a vaccine that Fauci approves of and the FDA approves of, that he, along with President Barack Obama, George W. Bush, and Bill Clinton, are all willing to take on camera publicly for the whole nation to see. So I want to talk about that. If you don't want to talk about it, you don't have to talk about it. I would like to know if anyone has any opinions. I kind of want to go to Tanya because I've seen Tanya doing a lot of this.
I think it's ingenious.
You think it's ingenious?
I think it's ingenious because the masks are just part of the solution, and you get if you get half of the people to wear their mask for 100 days, 90 days, whatever it is, and then you also incorporate all the other science that goes with that, and my God, we will get this virus taken care of, and then we'll have a vaccine that's distributed on top of that, and you get presidents, a line of presidents that are respected to take that vaccine in public too. It's going to do a world of good across the globe, not just in America.
So you don't think, because this is what I think, you don't think that the president's getting the vaccine on TV is a bit much?
No, I don't think so, because we need leaders that actually show what is the right thing to do, not just say it sometimes and then show other things and backtrack on what they've said half of the time. We need leaders that are going to do the right thing and say the right thing all the time and lead by example.
Kim, did you just eat that like that for a reason?
I'm not taking the virus first go around.
You said you're not going to do the vaccine right away?
Nah, you
I
guys
understand.
can go experiment
No,
with
give
that
it to you first go around. They're going to give it to healthcare workers,
Right.
and then they're going to give it to
As
elders.
they should.
You won't even have a chance to get it, boo.
As they should. But I understand why he would
I'm not
say
like
that,
a
though.
conspiracy theorist or anything. I'm just not gonna.
I understand why he would say that.
Flu is when
I wouldn't.
flu shot. So
It took me a long time to start taking a flu shot too. Like I had a teacher finally tell me, it's not a live virus. That thing, like you can always get like the dead virus flu shot. And I'm like, oh, it took me a minute to get one. But I personally feel like I agree with what you're saying. Lead by example. I think the strongest thing about it, I don't really think they need to do the vaccine on TV. Like I'm sold by the fact that they were like, the presidents were like, screw our party lines. Like, who cares? They're the only group of people, in my opinion, that have like successfully banded together during all this chaos and made choices. All of them got together and said, Trump's got to go.
Across different parties, yes.
Across different parties, it was a unifying statement of like, we need to get this country. Does anyone else hear that rattling? Is that me? No. Okay.
I heard it.
We need to get this country on the same footing. And I really think like that is what needs to happen across the next, not even just next 4 years. It doesn't need to happen in general because this is happening in our country. And if we don't figure that out, something's going to happen and it's not going to stay balanced forever. Rakia? Come on, man.
I would, my only issue with a mask mandate is we've seen what mandates have been, or the response to mandates have been over literally this past. It's been a year. It's been like the entire year because I just don't know how effective it will be because there are people that will just completely disregard it regardless of any facts presented to them. So I don't know. So if I won't be surprised if it gets to that point, but I'm not sure how truly effective it will be when you still have folks that are just completely disregarding it.
You know what I think the kicker will be? I think the kicker is going to be businesses. I feel like that's going to be the key. If businesses say you can't be in here, period, without a mask mandate, that alone, because people, they're going to have to.
That's going on Long Island right now.
It's going on a lot of places.
Yeah, everywhere I've been, everybody's masked up. So, and supposedly New York's doing terrible right now. So I don't see what difference will be, honestly.
I mean,
Biden said to wear it.
Go ahead, Rakia, and then
I mean, even there are places that the businesses that do require that they're probably just as many places. Like I know in Columbus, there are just as many places that have a sign on their door saying we do not force or require you to wear a mask in this building, and we don't accept any government. No, right?
Serious?
Yes, I the city of Columbus. I'm in Columbus, Georgia, with Paul Pierce. City of Columbus, the mayor had a mask mandate not too long ago. I think it literally just ended probably a couple weeks ago, honestly, or a month ago. And there are plenty of places of business that had signs saying that we will not force, we do not require you to wear a mask in this. And it's so if for just as many businesses that do require you to do it, they're just doing it.
Yeah,
no.
That's
go ahead, Paul.
That's part of the state law. The state law is that the governor allowed the local municipalities to pass, eventually allowed the local municipalities to create mask mandates, but it was written into the state law that businesses could opt out if they posted something on their door saying no thank you. And so that was about trying to control a public health emergency while at the same time acknowledging that private business has they're on their own property.
So I have to ask you, I know Paul as a business owner, you made the decision to do what's best for the safety of everyone. I personally feel like a lot of businesses want that because I feel like for me, if I walked up to a place and they were like, we don't require masking here, I'm probably not going to go inside. I'm not going to want to spend my money there only because of the fact that I really do believe, I mean, I might be one of the ones that bought into it, but I really do believe since we don't know how it's spreading, but we do know it's an auto-respiratory syndrome, that there's two ways things can get into your lungs. So, I mean, if we cover those ways, I mean, to me, that's just conversation.
I struggle with this conversation because it's so American centric, and this is a pandemic that has affected the entire world. And we have seen how it can be fought in other places more successfully. And all we have is this stupid conversation in America about, is it my right to wear a mask or not? Where we have seen in other countries that if you put a mask on, it helps stop the spread. So this idea that, we don't know if masks work. That's not true. We do know masks work. And even if Americans as a whole, even now not everybody takes the flu shot. We established that, right? I didn't take it for many years. I'm a performer now, so I take it because that's my money if I'm sick. You're going to have a percentage of Americans who will not take this vaccine. That's fine. They have a choice to do that or not. But the majority of I ain't gonna say rational thinking people, the majority of people over time will see that this is effective and take the vaccine. It may take 5 years, it may take 10 years, but we're gonna get to a point where it's generally accepted to take this vaccine. In the meantime, like Tanya said, if we could just take the science that we know is working, forget our politics about it, look at the world and see what has worked, and take that science and apply it here, then it can work. The idea that this virus has to be politicized is the most frustrating thing ever. And I'm out of work. I'm still out of work because we haven't gotten this damn virus under control. Yeah. And I'm going to be out of work until the majority of people have either had the vaccine or or we get this herd immunity, which means millions of people have to die. So I think we should just try to put the mask on, use all the science that we can to get rid of this damn virus. We don't have to live with it the way we're living with it. And this idea that I've been back and forth from New York and Columbus. In New York, everywhere I've gone, I've had to put a mask on. Every single place that I've gone into. I have not been to a single place where I was allowed to go in there without a mask. In Columbus, there were places I had to walk out of because I was like, y'all coughing on the food and you know what I mean? So there were places that I, as a consumer, had to be like, no, I'm not going to participate in this because I don't want to support businesses that are continuing to keep me out of work.
Right. Before I go to you, Sam, I want to go to Sam, and then I want to go to some of these people in I guess it's the left corner. The left corner, yeah. But I want to say this, I don't want to say nothing because I just forgot it. Go ahead, Sam.
I just want to kind of piggyback on that. Like, honestly, I feel, and I think Alicia said it in the comments.
Go ahead.
It's privileged people. Honestly, I feel like the majority of people pushing back on this are white males who have never really had anybody write laws or make them have to do anything about their body. And as women, and I'm sorry if it's too strong for y'all or whatever, but as women, there are laws against what we're able to do with our bodies. And
or they're attempting to make them.
Yeah. Like, come on now. And to me, like what she was saying is so politicized. Like, it's not about right or left. It's not about Republican or Democrat. It's about saving lives. That, to me, it's as simple as that. It's about saving lives. And maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. But like we said, we've seen other countries do this and handle it successfully. It's not like we don't have a plan. It's not like we don't have a roadmap. Other countries have handled this better than we've been doing it. And for someone to be so egotistical and so concerned about putting a freaking mask on, to me, like, that's crazy. Like, yo, we have gone too far. Americans, we are way, I mean, I'm sorry, I think we're way too narcissistic. There's other countries that they culturally wear masks when they're sick. They have a cold and they put on masks because they don't want to spread it to other people. But as Americans, we can't even put a mask on for this national pandemic, and people are out of work and people are dying. And whether you believe it or not, and it's a conspiracy or not, or it's right or left or Democrat or whatever, people are dying. Countries have handled this well. And we have to go to work sick. And people are out of work. People are like, our economy is flopping. It's flippering. It's just going up and down right now. And you don't want to put a mask on? That's crazy to me.
Let me say something really quick, and then I'm gonna go. I was gonna go to your room. I just want to say, because I wanted to respond to somebody in the comments, and y'all see my memories now. So if I don't say it now, I forget. Somebody in the comments said what they say. It was Deuce, fellow panelist Deuce, who needs to return to the panel. Deuce been coming to the episodes talking shit in the comments, he ducking all the smoke. We need you on the panel. But he said not true. In Europe, they had a lockdown. Numbers went down. Then when they let everybody off a lockdown, numbers went back up. How is that proof that it didn't work? I don't get it. Yep. But also, so maybe you can clarify
Europe. There are other countries as well.
But he can clarify that next time you're on the show. But also, I want to say this. At the end of the day, when you look at the countries that follow these rules, they all said that it's a seasonal disease. It's like the flu. This is not something that's just going to go away. We're never going to see again. This is something that's going to go. That's why we need a vaccine for it. And the vaccines, the first one we get probably won't be the same as the second one. It's going to be like this ongoing thing. They told us that fall and winter, there was going to be an uptick. They said that last year. So the fact that there's an uptick right now proves that the scientists were right. So maybe everything else they're telling us is right too. I don't know. It could. I mean, I'm not a conspiracy theorist because I watch a lot of like weird science fiction stuff. So I believe everything is true. So I don't really stress about it. I don't stress about that stuff because I'm just like, I mean, if it's true, it's true. But I'm eating a sandwich. You know what I'm saying? I'm living my life. It doesn't hurt to wear a mask. It does hurt if you're like, if my grandma got coronavirus and I had to find the guy who coughed on her sandwich, I will find him. You know what I'm saying? And there's a few people that's gonna look for him too. So I just think it's one of those situations like, I'm healthy, I'm young, right? So it's less likely to affect me. Does that then mean that I can be careless with another life? All right. I think it was Remy who was trying to say something.
67,000 people. That's all I'm gonna say.
So my thing is like, all right, so the mask. I wear a mask every day. I walk out of my house, right? I mean, my girl's got autoimmune disease, so I worry about her. But I wear a mask. But I don't agree with a federal mandate to wear one.
Why?
No, I'm still gonna wear one, but I'll speak out against it. No, I don't agree with that. I don't want the government telling me how to live my life, but I'm gonna do the right thing because I try to be a good person. So
wait, just to clarify, Remy, you're saying that you don't agree with a federal mandate. However, if there was one, you would follow it.
I follow it because I give a shit about the people around me, like, because I'm not self-prick. But I don't agree with a federal mandate. I don't agree with government stepping in and telling people how to live their lives.
Look at Paul.
Americans as a whole are selfish people.
I see you, Paul.
Thought a little bit about their neighbor. Put a little bit of effort into thinking about how the people around you are doing. Like my girlfriend looks perfectly normal, but she has multiple sclerosis. She's very high risk, but you wouldn't tell that looking at her. So you don't know the person walking down the street from you is sick or not. So yeah, I'm gonna wear the mask because it's the right thing to do. But it doesn't mean I agree with it being federally mandated. I think the government has too much overreach as it is. It's a whole different topic, but.
Let me send it to Paul, Sam. I see you, Sam. But Paul was. Hold on, Sam. Sam, hold on, because Paul had his hand up. But go ahead, Paul. I see you, Sam.
So let's just clarify your first statement at the beginning of this, Duryea. Biden is not talking about a federal mask mandate. He's talking about a mask mandate on federal government property.
Correct.
In federal buildings. And that he would then go to individual governors of individual states and territories and try to persuade them to have a state mandate.
Some would follow, some probably not.
So to me, the salient word there is persuade. Hey, do you remember persuasion? People used to do it a lot, but we haven't been doing it that much lately. I really like the idea that would be a federal government mandate, and then the executive would go to individual governors and try to persuade them to have a state mandate. I would celebrate that.
I agree. Sam, before I go to you, let's look at this comment. Some people don't care about others, so we need the government to make some laws to protect the others. At Remy, and that's true. Like your mentality is dope. Like if it was just as simple as I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna talk shit about it, we are all guilty of that, and we have that right. As that actually we do. We have the right to talk shit about things. That's a privilege of being American, But there's a lot of people who are gonna, on top of talking about it, they're also not gonna wear the mask because that's the stick it to the man. I'm like, look. Out of every hill that you want to die on, that's the one. Sam?
Yeah, it's a stupid hill.
It is a stupid hill. Sam?
I'm just curious on how the two ideas that Remy just spoke on are not related. You love your girlfriend, and so you wear whether there's going to be a federal mandate or not, you're going to wear your mask because your girlfriend is high risk. So someone you love and care about is high risk. So you're going to do the right thing by wearing your mask. But that is separate from the idea that everyone should wear their mask. I don't
like telling people how to live their life. I will take care of me on my own.
Why is it okay for the government to tell a woman how to live their life?
Yeah, I'm not going to tell somebody how to live their life.
Government tells women how to do it.
I will take care of me and my
Yeah, but is that all right?
Responsibility. I'm just not gonna fucking tell somebody how to live their life. I will take care of myself and my girlfriend. make sure that they're okay, and I'll do my best to take care of the ones around me. If you want to be a piece of shit, that's on you. This is a free country. You can do that.
But
So,
that person that doesn't give a shit is gonna be around your high-risk girlfriend.
That part.
Bring
Even if
wait,
you don't,
no.
even
So
if
there's a
you
6
do
foot
the
rule,
right
right?
thing, that piece
So
of
if I
shit
see,
is
if I'm
gonna be
walking down
around
the
your
street,
girlfriend.
if I'm walking down the street and I see somebody not wearing a mask, I'm gonna see it before I'm within 6 feet. I'm gonna walk across the fucking street. You know,
But
like,
then
there's a little bit
then they
of
gonna press
responsibility in
charges. We just came full circle, Remy.
Hmm?
We don't want you to get no charges pressed. We don't
What do you mean?
press the charges.
For walking across the street?
Because if you walk across the street and they feel like you were threatening them, because I mean, be honest,
If
you're
I'm
a
gonna
dude.
walk away from them, I'm gonna walk away from them.
Oh, okay,
If I see
okay,
them
my
not
bad.
wearing a mask. Yeah, no.
Okay,
If you're not wearing a mask, I can see that. I said because everybody looks the same right now. Everybody's wearing a mask. Oh, there's an asshole not wearing one. I'm gonna walk around him.
That's a luxury.
He thought you were saying you were going to walk up to them.
Let me head over. Let's do this. Let's do Tanya, and then let's do Kim, and then Christian, and then we're gonna wrap this up. Okay. So Tanya.
Thank you. Remy, I think I hear what you're saying, and I honestly don't think you personally are the problem. I'm sorry if you feel attacked in any way right now.
No,
I don't think you. Okay, good. I don't think you are the problem, and people like you are not the problem. But if you ever read John Locke and some of the other founding fathers of this country, they talked about natural rights. Voltaire, even though he wasn't necessarily of this country, but he talked about natural rights, and Fichte specifically. They talked about how they came upon natural rights and what it means to impede upon each other's rights, and how you define the line between what you have a right to do versus what other people have a right to do, and where the line is between when you cross the line on impeding upon somebody else's right. You don't have a right to shoot somebody because that takes away their right to live. So the problem is people that are not like you, that don't understand that they need to stay away if they're not going to wear their mask. Other people don't understand that, and don't care, don't understand that it's a public health issue. It's not just a wearing mask rights issue. It's a public health issue, and they don't care about other people's public health. So that's why government has to step in for some of those things.
I kind of feel like a little bit of this gets modeled through internet trolling. I generally do not see a lot of fucking, I just came from Texas, which supposedly is doing terrible, and everywhere I went, seems like people are wearing masks. I come to Long Island, everywhere I go, people are wearing masks. Like, I do not think it's as prevalent of an issue as people are making it out to be. I think people are taking what I said on the internet about not telling people what to do, and they're taking that and they're extrapolating that into actual society. And I don't think that's happening on as big of a level as everyone is making it out to be. I think they're, I mean, I look around and even the people I know that do not agree with the mask, they're wearing masks.
Okay. Look. All right, I'm gonna swerve over to Kim, but before I do, let's for all the listeners out there who aren't able, please put that back, Ricky, because you know what I'm about to do. For all the listeners out there who don't watch us live, a comment was just put up, and I just have to say it for y'all. We have to wear clothes in public. I don't see nudists rioting. Put a damn mask on and grow up. I just love that.
That's a good comment. Just said we have to drive on the right side of the road. I'm not gonna allow,
There's worried about it. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Driving on the left.
Kim.
Yeah, but do you drive on the right side of the road because it's the law, or because you're going to get into an accident?
Hold up. Wait. Whoa. I'm swerving. So, yes to all that, but hold your comment, Christian, until I come to you, because I'm coming to you right after Kim. Go ahead, Kim.
Yeah, I agree with Tanya. It's a public health issue, and I'm sure we'll talk about this when we get to party. I am very much a liberal, consider myself a liberal Democrat. I would be, in a perfect world, I would be a Republican, because I think a small government would be wonderful if people actually did the right thing. But history has told me over and over and over and over again that people will not do the right thing on their own. So sometimes the government has to interfere and make sure that things are done to protect the people that don't have power. And so to me, this is about that. It's about public health. Yes, you're making the right decision for your girlfriend, Remy, but the guy walking down the street who you may walk away from when you see them come down the street. But if your girlfriend had to be one of the people that's an essential worker and had to go to work and they didn't have to wear a mask at that job, then she's not protected. Unless somebody above her who has power says that she is protected. And so I think that's where the government steps in. And that's why I'm here for this mandate. And like Paul said, it's not a forever mandate. This is not taking away your right to breathe forever. It's 100 days. See if there's a difference. The idea that people are not even giving it a chance to really work, I think is the part that's like the most frustrating.
At least try it.
Yes. And then the last thing I want to say, because Deuce, you are throwing me with these comments in this daggone chat. The fact that you just compared slavery and black people walking around with
he did, and I missed it.
Papers to vaccine is just a ridiculous reach, and for you to do that, like, it's damn near disrespectful, to be honest. And this idea that because they want to get a vaccine to help save people, and you keep saying 100,000 people die from the flu every year. Well, 267,000 people have died, and it hasn't been a year. It hasn't been a year. We are going to hit 300,000 people before this year is up.
That's 3 times as many.
Exactly. So this idea that, oh, well, people die every year. It's okay. That's a part of life. If 300 people were dying from something else, we would be in an uproar. If people were 300,000.
They are, though. But like 500,000 people die from cigarettes.
But listen. Here's my best analogy.
I'm not condoning COVID deaths. I'm just saying.
No. I'm going to hit you with the best analogy. And this is why I get frustrated. All right. Because people like to say, oh, well, if you're afraid of dying, then don't drive a car. No, it's not don't drive a car, but drive with your seatbelt on. The mask is the seatbelt. The mask isn't the car. It's the seatbelt.
It's not that big of a debate.
That's a good analogy.
It's a stupid hill to die on. It's a stupid hill to die on.
All right, so let's go to Christian.
Don't compare vaccines to slaves, please.
Let's go. Yeah, okay. So, Deuce, next time you on the show, you already know who else is going to be on the panel.
Yeah.
All right.
Kim's ready for you, man.
All right, Christian. Let's go to you. And then afterwards, we're going to go to a break.
So I think there's a lot of this hinges on basically who's telling people whether they can or can't wear a mask. I think that businesses should be allowed to, enforce their own mask mandates. Like if you want to go into Walmart and they tell you to put on your mask and you say no, they can kick you out.
Right.
You know what I mean? But it's not a law that everybody has to follow. And like I'm kind of in the same boat as Remy as far as I don't think the government should be telling everybody to do it. But I wear my mask every day. I work in a place where you're not allowed to come in without a mask. And people, they'll do it. If you tell them look, you're not coming in the door, then you can choose to either put it on or go somewhere else.
Right. All right. Well, that was a cool debate. I enjoyed it. Had a little listening going on, a little hearing and understand and being understood. Key to the show. Some honorable mentions for this week's current events. Is it Ellen Page? That was her. It's Elliot Page.
Elliot
Page. I'm sorry. The reason I know an Elliot Page, and so I wasn't sure if that was just thinking of him, but I actually know. So Elliot Page came out as transgender this week, and has been actually getting like a massive amount of support. He is still going to be playing the same character that he was playing in Umbrella Academy, which I haven't seen, which apparently is really dope. Which I'm sure there's at some point going to be some blowback from that by some person somewhere. But congratulations, kudos, and still getting to make that money. And just yay for acceptance. Trump is apparently trying to pardon his children preemptively, which is just hilarious. I don't care what you think about this man. Yeah. He has no limits. He doesn't care. Like, you know what?
And proof he knows they did wrong.
Hello. He said,
as a Southern lady would say, no couth.
No, he got no couth. He said, you know what? If I'm leaving in style. He's like, I'm kicking all the door. They're gonna have to all the furniture gonna be gone, spray paint everywhere. In addition to that,
cut the chairs with box cutters.
They're gonna need to have to. They're gonna need to have to like
Why?
Lysol
Ain't
the
no sex
entire
been
White
happening
House
in there. You
anyway,
seen
so,
Melania?
You know, it's okay.
You ain't seen a little clip?
Oh,
That's right, Nicole.
COVID hotspot.
COVID.
You better go straight to
Where's your
sex.
mic at, Ray?
Well, when you, but that's, I just feel like I just told on myself.
Look.
Also,
right. Lysol and sage.
Also, in addition
Lysol
to
and
that,
sage.
well, she
I
does
was
have a
really
history.
just, but have y'all not seen the clip of all of the times where he's trying to grab her hand in public and she swats his hand away? That is everything to me. And there's one clip where they replace her face with the states, the swing states that went from red to blue. It's so funny. All right. The Department of Justice also found no evidence of widespread fraud. So there's that. And then I think that's everything. Oh, and McConnell blocked a $900 billion stimulus package that would have gone out to all the Americans. But guess who's still getting paid? Congress. So,
oh, wow.
Term limits. Did I say that out loud? All right. Now, we're going to go into our main topic tonight. But before we do that, let's pause for a quick ad break.
Ho, 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 it's Russ Yo, the guest host for next week's Woe Nelly Media Show. We are going to be talking about our favorite Christmas movies. We are going to have heated debates in the coldest of times. And I really think that means something. I don't know what. So come join us. We are going to be geeking out. That was corny.
What am I actually telling my body? And the things that our body needs to survive, you can't weigh it down with all that junk, all the chips, cookies, cakes, and pies. You know what I'm saying? Like, think about that. And I know for me, that's my struggle. My weakness is sweets. Because I'm going to be honest with you, I had already planned when I got this video to make a run to Del Taco real quick and get one of them sweet cheesecake bites. Let me tell y'all something. Them things will make you slap your mama. They're so good. Lord have mercy. Is that drool? That done got me drooling.
That was the Mompreneur Plug, who you can find on YouTube at the Mompreneur Plug, youtube.com/C/Mompreneur Plug. And that was a ad for this Monday's upcoming episode of Geeking Out, which is going to be hosted by a college buddy of mine and Springer actor, Russ Yo. He's going to be leading us in a discussion about our favorite Christmas movies. The only Christmas movies that matter are Home Alone and National Lampoons.
And
Period.
Die Hard.
Wait, can I just say something?
And
My
Die Hard.
daughter did not want to watch Home Alone today. She was in chorus class and they put on Home Alone, and she was like, she had an attitude about it, and I was like, first of all,
How do you have an attitude about?
And second of all, it's Home Alone. That's a classic.
That is a classic movie, and it will forever be. Have y'all seen that meme with Macaulay Culkin where he's like,
with Donald Trump in Home Alone 2?
That he is in the second one. He definitely is in the second movie. You'll never look at that movie the same. Not that scene. All right.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this main topic tonight, which I'm so excited to talk about because everyone on this panel probably knows more about the topic than me. So I'm gonna try to talk as much as I can, but y'all know that's not gonna work. All right. So we're gonna discuss the two-party system, partisanship, and the two-party system and partisanship exactly. Let me look up the definition because my understanding of partisanship is somebody else is looking it up too. Is basically, here it is: prejudice in favor of a particular cause or bias. So the idea of having a two-party system kind of lends itself to partisanship because what it does is it makes you think, well, regardless of what this person's saying or doing or thinking, or I'm just going to go with him because he's on my side or she is on my side, and vice versa. The issues that I personally have with, that's what we'll start. This is the issue I have. So everyone that knows me knows that one of my parents is Republican. I'm going to say one of my parents because, I don't want to do my parent like that.
Don't call nobody out. Don't call
I don't
nobody
want to call nobody out, but because I definitely have. Technically, I got 3 So technically I do got 3, but one of the 3 is Republican. And that is a relationship that I love my parents. I actually get along great with my parents. They're low-key like my best friends. We talk about basically anything except for politics. And being in that situation, the other day I asked this parent, I'm trying so hard not to say like which one. I asked this parent, so are you just a hardcore Republican now? Because they voted for Hillary in the Democratic National Convention before Obama was elected. But then after that, everything was Republican. I don't know what the switch was, and my parent was like, yes, I'm always going to vote Republican. And I was like, what, does it matter what they're talking about? And then I was trying so hard. Then they said, well, then they were like, yeah, it does depend on what they were talking about, because I would have voted for Bernie Sanders. And I said, over Trump? And they said, I don't know about that, but I would have voted for him. So it makes me wonder how many people are even listening to the other side, even actually going into the room with like an open mind saying, okay, and having people like Paul is, in my opinion, he's wise. You know what I'm saying? He thinks through things. You saw how he broke down the Real Housewives of Potomac. Okay. People don't just do that. But he's also voted for multiple parties. So I'd actually like to start the conversation off with Paul, if he doesn't mind.
Okay. Well, first of all, yes, we do have a 2-party system, but there are more than 2 parties active in the United States, and more than 2 parties that are getting on ballots. One of the main things that we have to remember, and I really, really wish maybe candidates could help us a little define what their party actually stands for. We have to remember that no president ever, nobody that's ever been elected president has been elected unless they assembled a coalition. A party is not just one thought and one mind. A party is nothing more than somebody walking into the middle of the field, planting a flag and saying, who's with me? And then people saying, what do you stand for? And that person says what they stand for, and then people will gather around that flag. But the truth is, every party that is successful is working to put together a coalition. Let me give you an example of something we forget about. So Biden just won this election, but there were lots of people running on the Democratic ticket. Democrats are a bunch of cats in a bag. Lots and lots of different kinds of people are in the Democratic Party. If you look at Buttigieg, openly gay presidential candidate, well, this is cool. But if you notice, Buttigieg did not campaign in Southern Black churches.
Yeah, because he already knew. He already knew.
And this is a problem if you're trying to put together a coalition.
Right.
Because Southern Black fundamentalist Christians are the heart and soul of the social justice movement. But a lot of them don't like gays. And so now you're trying to say, well, I part of who I am is gay. I'm white, I'm gay, whatever it is. He would have done a lot better, in my opinion, if he, as soon as he announced, started coming and visiting the churches in Selma.
Really?
And Fayetteville, North Carolina.
You think that would have done well for him?
If he wanted to assemble his coalition, he should have done that. And really, I would say Bernie.
Anybody he picked up would have been better than nobody.
I hear you.
That what?
I said anybody he picked up along the way doing something like that would have been better than nobody, when you don't even try.
And so that's the thing. And so you look at Biden's situation, where he wasn't even in the top 3 before Super Tuesday. He wasn't. I don't even think he was in the top 4 or 5. But when he got to South Carolina, and the black
churches, okay,
Democrats came out and supported him, and then Super Tuesday the next week, suddenly the white educated women in suburbs came out. They saw what the leadership of the black Democratic supporters of Biden did in South Carolina, and they looked at it and they said, that maybe be our coalition. Maybe it's white suburban women and blacks. And they gave it a test on Super Tuesday, and look what happened.
It worked.
And suddenly it looked like, oh, wow, here are 2 groups that had not previously aligned as partners in this coalition, and then they were there. So with each primary after that, Biden was able to piece together a few more, and the next thing you know, he had the votes to win the nomination. And we forget that a successful party, has to be about coalitions. So, we have the Green Party, we have the Libertarian Party, we have the Constitution Party. There is a bunch of parties.
What was that last party?
Constitution Party.
Constitution.
But see, here's the thing. Each state has their own rules for ballot access. In one state, you can get on the ballot with 5,000 signatures. In a state right next door, you got to have 500,000. So it's got to be a big effort where you're pulling together as many partners as possible. And that would happen even if America had 10 parties. That would happen no matter what. It's coalitions and coalition building that makes the success.
Well, see, I know who to go. If I don't know the information, I know who to ask for the information. Okay. I never thought of any of that. That was incredible. I like the idea of the mindset that you went into looking at that. So I have a question. When it comes to, because I think part of the problem is that these other parties aren't getting enough visibility, or there isn't the drive to go look. Because it's like, okay, the next election is literally right around the corner. It's the runoff. But then after the runoff, I think there's another election in 2 years, right? Another big election, right? So between now and then, a candidate who's not one of the big parties would have to do like an incredible amount of work to actually win, which is why I think it's interesting that I think that's why a lot of candidates don't win, because they're either not getting the visibility or they're not getting enough visibility when enough time to actually make an impact on elections. So what do you think would be a solution to have these people, these candidates, get more visibility and have more people watching them and understanding what they're and viewing their platforms? Tanya?
It's also, sorry.
And Tanya, and then I think it was you about to say something, Christian?
Yeah.
Tanya and Christian.
Yeah.
It's also about money. That's where the visibility comes in. So if they were to get some Hollywood actors to help them promote their what's right now a lower paid attention to party, that would help build the visibility and then the attention that it gets and the coalition that's built from that. I think Paul made some really good points, especially about Buttigieg. It's really hard to hate people that you know really well. And if Buttigieg had did what he said, he would have gained more support from the people that he right now doesn't have support from.
Christian?
Yeah, actually, Paul made some really good points about
I see you.
Getting a coalition together, like you said. I think that the issue with third party or fourth or fifth party candidates getting visibility is, like Tanya said, money that goes behind it, and the fact that the media kind of boxes these candidates out. They keep them off the debates. Like, the debate is basically between Democrats and Republicans, no matter who else is running. So it's almost like they're letting people see that there's actually only two parties. When there's other people with other ideas that you may agree with more, but you never even heard them. Or even worse, like, a lot of times, I remember when the Republicans did to Ron Paul what the Democrats did to Bernie Sanders, essentially, and stole the nomination from him.
Twice.
Right. And I think the media was very complicit in that. I remember with Ron Paul especially, they would, kind of just make little jokes. He's so silly, like, oh, crazy Uncle Ron with his, constitutional theories and stuff like that. The same thing they did with, Bernie Sanders, and, they made him out to be this, crazy socialist. In the last election, not this current one, the one where Trump won, I personally would have voted for Bernie Sanders had they given him
I've heard that
had they given him the nomination, because it just kind of felt like everyone was in the mood for somebody to shake it up a little bit, and like Bernie would have shaken it up, and like obviously Trump was going to shake it up. So I think that's why he got a lot of support, from people that may have voted for Bernie Sanders. Like, I know people that were hardcore Democrats that said, I'll never vote Democrat again.
Because
of them stealing. I knew somebody who was a delegate for Bernie Sanders, and she said that the Hillary people were spitting on them at the DNC rallies. Like, she said, I'll never vote Democrat again. I think they lost a lot of support, as far as, their base goes, and even, bringing on independents by doing stuff like that.
Before Kim, I saw you raise your hand. You did raise your hand, right? Before I go to Kim, like, for me, I think the biggest issue is this. Like, as a Black gay man, I don't feel like I can safely vote Republican, or at least like intelligently vote Republican, because of, like, we talked about these different, like, okay, there's like the far left and the far right, and there's the moderates, and there's just conservatives, there's just liberals, and then there, you know what I'm saying? There's all these different, but being associated with the Republican Party to me is being directly associated with people who are anti-gay and anti-Black. And that's proven. Like, am I going to say every Republican? No, I'm not going to say that. But being a conservative Republican, in my opinion, means that you're okay with overlooking that half of your party is very against people just being alive because they are, or sharing their space because they are Black, gay, a female, whatever these things are. So for me, it becomes difficult, because I was one of those people who went to the polls, and I hate telling the story because every time I tell the story, Kim is here. I was one of those people that went to the polls and sat in my car and stared at the door and was like, who are you going to vote for, Duryea? And I was like, well, I'm not going to vote for Trump. I can't vote for Hillary. So I didn't vote. So, and now I can't vote. So it was one of these things where it's just like, so now my whole ideology around that is very different. But either way, the reason I say that is because it's never presented to people that there is another party up until, like, I'm 30 now. And now that's, like, I always knew there was independent, but the way it's always said is, like, I was always told from a very young age, if you vote third party, you're basically casting a vote against the party you want to win, which will dissuade anyone from actually voting third party or even researching third party. That's all. I just wanted to say that really quick. Go ahead, Kim.
I saw Paul too wanted to say something about the
okay.
If you wanted to add, Paul.
No, you can. Oh, okay. You on mute, Paul.
You want me to go ahead? Go. Okay. So shit, I lost my train of thought just now thinking about that. I had to do a lot of research. I'm not gonna lie. I love politics. I never really engaged in the conversation about two-party or multi-party voting. And so I did a lot of research today and really started, I'm an existentialist a bit. So once I start to unravel one thing, it all just starts to unravel for me. The reason you, Duryea, Tanya, we need to talk, girl. Yeah. Duryea, the reason you have never heard that, or there hasn't been a lot of support, is like on purpose. So what Paul was saying before about like lack of visibility and you not knowing about all these things is because certain states do things in certain ways. So when you have one party that is in full power, they get to make laws in those states that help them be reelected year after year after year. And that's why you get things like gerrymandering and such. That's why you get, purges of voter rolls, all those things that are happening. Also, a part of that is kind of discounting the view of this third party. I remember leaving Georgia and voting somewhere else and was like, oh, I could vote. It had an open primary. So I could vote Republican or Democrat. But I remember also being 18 and not knowing a lot about politics and going to doing my first voting and was like, oh, why did I only get Democratic candidates? Why didn't I get to vote on, like, maybe I really like this Republican representative, but I still want to vote for this Democratic president, you know? And my dad was like, yeah, don't work that way. If you get the Democratic card, you got to vote Democrat. So there's a reason why you never knew about these third parties, because they're in a lot of states, they make it damn near impossible to know about these other people, or even if you know about them, to be able to vote for them. So I guess the point that I want to make is that it's quite intentional, I think, because what I learned is that it benefits each party to stay a two-party system, because the goal is to get your party over full government control, meaning House, Senate, executive, and then put the laws in place so that the next time, even if you don't win the next one, it's the long game, right? It's about putting things in place so that your party continues to win. Ultimately, one of the things I read today said that the ultimate goal is that we just want our party to be the one that lasts forever, basically, like the one that just keeps winning and winning and winning, as opposed to like evolving and taking ideas from the parties, which is what the original goal was. Is exactly what Paul said, is that the original goal is that we're supposed to be able to meet in the middle and say, yeah, we feel strongly about this over here and strongly about that, but these are things we can agree on in the middle, and these are things we can work on. But now it's like the parties have gotten further and further away from each other, and it's like there's no middle ground anymore. So before I wouldn't have cared about multi-party system. Now I'm like, let's get them all out there, because this idea that, like, even in I'm a staunch Democratic candidate, but there were Republican candidates that I supported. I remember even when John Kasich.
Okay, I need to remember next time you get on my case about something, I need to remember that. John Kasich. Okay, keep going.
Right, but there are like middle grounds, and I feel like I'm a proponent of diversity, right? And I believe diversity is powerful, because the more voices we have at the table, the better the table is. Like, the better solutions come forward. And so I feel that to be true even with politics. Even though I'm a Democrat, and even though there are some Republican ideas that I just do not agree with, I still think it's beneficial to have everyone at the table. I am grateful for the socialist ideas that Bernie screamed for 20 years in this business, or in this industry, in the government, because it has pushed our party more in that direction, to think about how the working class is being treated in America. I think that is important. I ain't gonna say anything that the Tea Party gave us was important, but it's important to have, it's important for people to feel heard, because I think the biggest thing with the Tea Party is they made people that felt disenfranchised, that weren't being heard. They felt like they weren't being heard, and they gave them a voice. And so I think it's important that we create the space now to give everybody a voice, so that we don't have these underbellies of Tea Parties or extremists on each side, trying to be heard. I'm sorry, I'm on a tangent now.
What I just heard you say, essentially, you said you think that there needs to be a place created where all voices can be heard. So what I'm interpreting that to mean is, you think I should be the president.
Shut up.
I believe that should be created such a space.
And then there's a reach. Okay.
You're gonna pull a muscle over there.
Right.
That's what I
think
heard.
there should
Okay.
be is equity in the process. I think there should be equity in the process. Like, one of the things I would love to see out of this election is more equity amongst the nation when it comes to voting and the access to voting and the access to polling and the access to registration, all of those things. There should be a national standard for voting. I should not have to wait in line for 7 hours in Georgia to vote when my roommate here in New York went in 10 minutes. It just don't make no sense. You know what I'm saying? So I think there should be equity that happens when it comes on the financial level, when it comes on access, all of that. That's how I feel about it.
Paul?
Yeah. So part of this is that it's not just how many parties are allowed into the system, but the system itself, where we've got this thing set up where I'm running for president and ultimately I am nominated by my party, and then I get to choose who's running with me as vice president, the second most powerful person in executive government. An individual gets to choose. There are other ways that other countries do things. Okay. The one I love the most is called ranked choice voting, where
I've heard about that. I don't know.
There are no primaries. If 50 people representing 30 parties want to run, they can run, and they make their case. And on voting day, you choose your first, second, and third choice. And everybody chooses their first, second, and third choice. And now a consensus has developed. You look at how many people voted for a certain person as their first choice, and how many people voted somebody else for their second choice. Well, boom, whoever it is, whatever party they're in, you've just chosen, number one, who the president's going to be, and number two, who the vice president's going to be. And they could be of separate parties. The same thing goes for Congress. We've got, I think, 435 seats in the House of Representatives, and all of these little tiny districts. So one person per district. What if we had bigger districts with more people in it? Say, for instance, the 3rd District of Georgia, where Sanford Bishop has that seat. What if the 3rd District were a lot bigger and we sent 5 people to Washington? And it didn't matter whether they were Republican, Democrat, Green, Conservative, Libertarian, whatever, because we're voting ranked choice. And we're going to send the top 5 people that our district likes to Washington.
Sam?
I agree with Paul. I can't say that I'm necessarily an expert on this topic. I wish that I knew more. But what I can say is I do think that this 2-party type of system that we've created, whether there's other parties or not, obviously there are, but the way that our system has evolved is we really only kind of acknowledge 2. And so I don't know if I'm the expert on this, but I will say I think that the divide in this country speaks volumes about why this system is not conducive to what we need to do. Is there things about this system that I think work? Yeah, obviously there's always pros and cons, to everything. And kind of to piggyback on what Paul was saying, it's like, okay, maybe we need to step back and reevaluate how we decide our systems. I don't know the best way.
Right.
I'm not a political expert, but I can look back and observe and say, look at where we're at. There is a huge divide in this country, and I don't. And at this point, you know, because I've really struggled with. For me, this election hasn't been about Democrat versus Republican or left versus right. It's literally been about like hate and acceptance or intolerance versus being united to me. And maybe that might be extreme, but I do feel like it's not about left versus right in this election.
Yeah.
I feel like it's about, for the most part, yeah, I will say I'm a Democrat / like libertarian, but I'm not opposed to Republican beliefs. There are things that Republicans believe.
Oh no! Oh, we lost Sam. All right, she'll be back. Okay. I want to say something anyway. So, listen, I agree with the ideas that like the two parties. Oh, she back already. Never mind. All right, Sam, go ahead. Keep going.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Oh no, I didn't want to do that. Go ahead, Sam.
So I'm just saying that I feel like in past elections I go either way, or you know, but I do feel like in this election it's not left or right or Democrat versus. I feel like it's just right in intolerance versus being united and doing what's right. And I think that the way that our system is set up right now has created that divide. And unfortunately, we are really, as a country, suffering from that. And I don't know if the answer is to create more parties or to change our voting system. But I will say, obviously, something's broken and we need to figure it out.
So that actually brings me to my next question. What are the solutions, or do we have solutions? I know Paul came up with a great one where he was talking about ranked choice voting. And the reason I talk about solutions is because like there's no point. You point out the problem, that's cool, but you know, how are we gonna fix it? How are we gonna fix anyway? So I see you, Kim. For me, I think that was for you, Rukia. For me, I think sometimes it's easier to stay where we are because we know that changing things will be incredibly chaotic. Because you have people who are used to certain things. You have certain people, like we just discussed when we talk about the masks, who just aren't going to go along with people getting along. It's sad, but it's true. People exist in this world who, when they see shit going well, it just doesn't sit well with them. So they want to create chaos. There's going to be those people out there like, heaven forbid those gay dudes get married and I can have my gun still. One of these things can't be like the other. So they're going to, you know what I'm saying? It's crazy. So at the end of the day, what are the possible solutions that we think are feasible to this problem? And we're going to answer this quickly because then we have to go to our last commercial break. Anyone want to go? Anyone want to answer that question? No? Kim, I forgot you did raise your hand. Go ahead, Kim.
That's okay. You ain't want to see me. I can come for you too. No, I'm just kidding. I think I like what Paul was talking about with the ranked voter system. I've always been interested in that and like what that would look like, because it would prevent these runoffs, which, by the way, if you're in Georgia, we have runoff January 5th, just a plug. But I think too, right now, America is ripe for change. And I think we're in a place where change is possible. I do agree that people like hate change. I think 2020 has forced us to sit down and see who we are as Americans. I think you cannot go past this year and say that you have never heard of Black Lives Matter. You cannot say, you can still claim that you don't understand why we there, but you can't say you haven't seen us or seen why, like cases, right? You cannot claim that our healthcare system is healthy in 2020. I just don't think you can. You've seen this, right? You can't claim that as long as stocks are doing well, Americans' economy is good, like pockets are fine, because that's not true. I just feel like there are some truths that have been exposed that cannot be covered up if we're willing to like stand in the truth. Now, if we are, I don't know if that's true. I've yet to see, but I am optimistic, cautiously optimistic that we might have seen some shift happen. I think also I'm inspired by this next generation and how they are not afraid to like get out in the streets and have tough conversations and call truth to power and even challenge us, challenge our parents, fight, whatever you want to call it. But I think just challenging us on every level, making us ask questions like, who are we as Americans? What do we want for ourselves? What do we want for our neighbors? Like, so I think a lot about AOC when I think about like the future of the Democratic Party, and some people think she's extreme. People thought Bernie was extreme, but I think Bernie could have been president. I really do. Had he had a fair chance, I do. But I appreciate it because I feel like it challenges our party, because I'm a Democrat, but I have a lot of issues with the Democratic Party. And I feel like now is the time that we can start addressing those things. I feel like, okay, yes, we got this presidency, but now also Biden, let's talk about some of the problematic things in your administration. Let's get a more diverse
stuff you be saying sometimes.
Yes, let's get a more diverse cabinet so we can have different perspectives coming in, because I don't think Biden has all the answers, but I hope he puts people around him that have better answers than we've seen in the past, because we have more diverse people in that in those positions. Am I here?
Yes. No, I was gonna say I think that's a great place to start right there. What, Kim, you just froze, or is it just me that's froze? Kim?
No, I froze. It went away.
Okay. So I think that's actually a brilliant start right there, Kim. If the cabinet wasn't all Democrats. You know what I'm saying? If there were some, I mean, I'm just saying, if there were some people who were in, because you don't have, my understanding of the cabinet is they're basically advisors. You know what I'm saying? Yes. So what if there were some like prominent Republicans, prominent conservatives that were in his cabinet?
Republican vice president.
That would be ideal. But that's what they do on Scandal.
Vice president and president be reverse parties.
That would be interesting. Do y'all think that the American public would go for something like that?
No.
But they would keep the whatever parties holds office in check. What if Trump had a Democrat vice president? Would he have been such a shithead?
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
He don't listen to nobody.
Because Trump would have picked somebody that would have bowed down to him, regardless of what party they went to.
Absolutely. But Paul, you said no.
Take Trump out of it. But, what if Bush had a Democrat fucking vice president?
It's possible for me, because I vote for people, not parties.
I look at Bush totally different after Trump.
I really do. Never going to be the same. Elections are never going to be the same. He did kind of, I'm on it. Trump, he did kind of fuck some shit up. Where I think the state of politics will never go back to what it was. So, I don't know. I don't think one party should hold all the power either. They need to be kept in check. I think the two-party system should be abolished. It's not necessary. I mean, look at what they did. What they did to Sanders, Tulsi Gabbard, Andrew Yang. I mean, they're all married. For who? For Biden? What the fuck is he gonna do? Honestly, I don't think he's making it out of his first year in presidency anyway. So,
crazy.
Damn.
I know, right?
Well, I would hope that like the Andrew Yangs and all those other people can be brought in, their thoughts.
Well, hold up. I want to check in with Paul really quick. Paul said, when I asked the question, Paul was quick to say no. Why do you think that the American people wouldn't go for something like that? And then after this, we're going to go to our last commercial break.
Yeah, it's not so much the American people, but remember the coalition. remember that it's so hard to piece together all of these disparate, really, if you think about the Democratic.
I was defense Gabbard, and I would have voted Democrat if she.
I don't know what just happened. Keep going, Paul.
She would have got the nomination.
Maybe he can't hear us. Keep going, Paul.
Think of the Democratic Party as 8 parties. Okay, they gathered around the flag of Democratic Party, but these candidates were very disparate. They were very, very different, and so it's hard to piece them together. Go back to the Obama administration. Obama put Republicans in his cabinet.
He did.
Oh yeah, Secretary of Defense was a Republican.
I didn't know that.
He put together a not a totally bipartisan cabinet, but there were Republicans in his cabinet. And here's what happened: the Republicans turned against their colleagues and called them rhinos, Republicans in name only, and they were chastised and thrown out of the inner circle of the conservative movement.
Was it Boehner one of those?
Who?
I think Boehner. I thought Boehner was one of the Republicans that he put in the cabinet, and they turned against him.
He wasn't in the cabinet, but he was I'm sorry, I'm losing my mind a little bit. But the thing is, then all of the people who worked so hard to get Obama elected, Democrats who worked so hard, and a lot of them who did not agree with Obama, they pushed him to the top through this collaboration, through this working together to work things out. And then when they saw Obama appoint Republicans to the cabinet, they felt betrayed. And so it's not an easy thing when you're putting people up like that. That's why I really think, if you look at the can I say just one more thing?
Yes.
If you look at, you all have watched the British Parliament, where there's 2 rows of benches, one on the left, one on the right, and the Speaker of the House is up there leading the meeting. These aren't 2 parties. These are 10 or 12 parties. And one group of them have gathered with the majority. One group ended up with the minority, and they believe often very different things, but they piece together a coalition to make the government work. Well, sometimes the prime minister will undertake policies that make somebody in their own coalition mad. And they will physically stand up and walk to the other side of the room, and the government will fall apart. And so it's important the prime minister is constantly trying to keep these people in his or her group, because they literally, if 10 people leave and walk across to the other side of the room, there's got to be a prime minister. The whole government falls down. And this happens not regularly, but it's not unusual for a government that has to be rebuilt. And I kind of like that system.
Well, that is interesting. I don't know. I like the system, but not what they walk across the room and then the government shut down. But this is a great conversation. We've had some incredibly wonderful ideas. However, it is our time for final thoughts. Before we go into our final thoughts for the evening, I'd like us all to pause for a small ad break. Will I? Oh, yes, I will.
Hi, this is Cody from Cody Paul Media. Thank you for joining me. Anybody can record a video, but the question is, how do you make that video stand out among the rest? A quick animated video like this one can change things around for your company, so go to codypaulmedia.com and get those needs met today. See you later.
That was Master of Rem Alternus, live Shadowrun gameplay, which happens every Tuesday at 8 on Twitch. You can find them at Master of Rem, REM, twitch.tv/Master of Rem. I play a mage who is an elf, a Nocturna elf. I have magical powers, and I always somehow end up wounded because I've never done it before. So come watch me fail miserably at doing RPGs. Also, that was Cody Paul Media. Cody Paul Media is the wonderful designer of the Talk It Out logo. Not the logo, sorry. That was Ali Qaeda. He's the wonderful designer of, Cody Paul Media is the wonderful designer of our title sequences and our on both ends. So you want him to design something for you, website design. He does a lot of amazing things. Find him at codypaulmedia.com. Now it's time for final thoughts. All right. This is the part of the show where we get to hear people's, the panelists, they're going to tell us what they've learned from this conversation or what they hope that you all learned from this conversation and can leave with. So let's start off the final thoughts with Sam.
I knew you were going to say that.
I don't know. Like everybody always says, I feel like everybody's thinking that. So I'm like, whoever I say is going to be like, I knew you were going to pick me.
All right, final thoughts. I think America is still racist in our systems and in our it is within like the bloodline of America. It is within our systems. It is systematic. And part of that is in our political system. And I don't know what needs to happen. Again, I'm not a politician. I think that we can I think we're smart enough as a country to look at other countries that have done it different and decide what would be a good system. But I think we're also narcissistic and egotistical enough to never change what we have put in the Constitution. I think that obviously there is a great divide in America right now. And I do think it is because of the two systems and the way that everything is set up. So I don't know. I think that's a pretty general comment. But I just want to say that obviously we're not doing something right. I don't know what we need to do. I think we're smart enough to look at people who have done it differently and figure out a better system. But I also think that too many of us are so ingrained in this two-party system for whatever reason that we may not be able to get past our egos and our narcissism to actually come up with a better system.
Excellent. That was Sam, returning panelist extraordinaire. You can find her on her Instagram. You can find her at Sam Sells ATL Homes or at Marley Bears ATL. Marley is spelled EY. All right, next, let's talk to Christian.
Hey, so I think that this is a real kind of deep problem that we have as a country, and that there's no easy solution to it. I think a lot of it stems from people's predisposition towards tribalism too. You know, you feel like it's like your team, you know, like other people were saying when Obama took on Republicans in his cabinet, like the other Republicans turned on like you're out of the tribe. You know, you can even see it like on a micro level with professional sports. Like I grew up in New Jersey, and you know, whenever the Cowboys would play the Eagles, like you could feel the tension, you know, in sports bars, and then imagine if the Cowboys win, that Jerry Jones gets to make tax policy for the next 4 years. You know what I mean? So like with politics, it's like a much grander scale, and you still have those tribalistic feelings that people kind of tend towards. And I think that's a lot of the problem with having just two parties, because at the end of the day, you still end up doing, as a country, we still end up doing the same stuff no matter which one of them's in power. You know, we're still fighting endless wars, whether it's a Republican or a Democrat. They're still, just recently that the drug war has started to ease up, which is a hugely racist policy, I think, in the first place. I think that started under Reagan. Marijuana prohibition in general has a lot of racist roots. But the drug war in general, that has continued through Democrats, Republicans, none of them even talk about, they don't even put that discussion on the table, as far as ending the wars. A lot of them, they promise, I think Obama promised to start bringing troops home. Trump promised to start bringing troops home. Troops are still out there. You know what I mean? They're still meddling in other sovereign nations' affairs. And that breeds a lot of, the quote unquote terrorist tendencies that other countries have, because, one man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter. If you mess around in somebody's country for long enough, those kids are going to grow up seeing their families hurt and their towns blown up, and, it makes you feel some kind of way. But, just to wrap it up, I think that I really like Paul's idea about the ranked voting system. I think that would probably be a good way to go.
So basically, Paul just stole my nomination for president. I couldn't even get to Super Tuesday, Paul. Thanks a lot.
Paul 2024.
Right. Damn it, Paul. I was this close. All right, Paul. So, all right, that was great. Thank you for that. I really, I like your spin. I like your perspectives, what I've heard so far from everybody. So let's go to Paul next for his final thoughts.
Well, I agree. The Black Lives Matter movement, the social justice movement right now is, when we look back 100, 150 years from now on this period, that will be the headline. Because a lot of people hope and wish maybe that the social justice movement that we're currently seeing is just a flash in the pan. It's something that Black people have to get out of their systems, and then we're all going to go back to normal. But a social justice river has been flowing through this country from the beginning. There were 11 million human beings or thereabouts living on this land before the first European showed up, and we created a system to basically wipe them out. And then, of course, the slavery just expanded, and it's the mark. We're marked with the slavery. It's we will never lay that burden down, but the social justice river has now overflowed its banks. And there are white people standing in the water up to their knees, shaking their fists at the river. And they don't know yet that the river is not going to go down. It's not going to go down. Let's build a boat, and let's build this boat together, and let's all get in the boat, because this damn river is not going to be going down anytime soon. And that's something to celebrate. This is my wife in the background applauding.
Okay, I was like, who was clapping?
I thought it was Durier.
But we can't do any of this if we tear down institutions. Now, parties, they're an institution. Congress is an institution. The Boy Scouts are an institution. The church is an institution. We are in a mood right now where tearing down all of our institutions is a fad. We got to do that before we can get anything done. I'm an old man now. I'm almost 68 years old. I tell you, if we destroy all of our institutions, college, public schools, whatever, just take your list. If we tear it all down, there will be blood in the streets. And we will look back on this time thinking how naive we were, that a constitution that had been tested over many years and amendments to that constitution, that at least there was something to begin with. And so, and I would include the media in that. It's so easy to say, oh, the media, they're all corrupt and they're telling lies and everything. I say, if we want the media to be better, let's insist on it. Let's insist on it. If we want our local congressmen and congresswomen to be better, let's insist on it. And build those institutions up and hold their feet to the fire, because that's the way we're all going to be able to get in the boat, because this social justice movement is going to be the water. It's going to be what we all float on forever.
Excellent. Deep words by no, I see you. We going final thoughts. I got a special place for you in the you gotta go.
No, I was just so inspired by Paul's words. I wanted to go next, but we can go in your
No,
order.
I was gonna let you. Yeah. I got an order in my head. All right. That was great, Paul. But your words were inspiring. Hey, Donna. All right. So let's go to Dr. Tanya.
You always have so many intelligent conversations and great people on your panels, and I love being a part
everybody.
of this.
Thank y'all all for being here.
Yeah, I'm glad to be among them. And I am a little disappointed, though. I thought I was going to maybe learn. I should have asked the question. It's completely my fault. What is the difference between the Green Party and the Democratic Party? Because I looked it up and I still am clueless. But that's a conversation for another time. I really learned, maybe part two. I really learned a lot about the Paul said so many great things, but I also learned a lot from other people. The reality TV, using that as a workplace example and not thinking of it as just a place of entertainment, and considering that people have a right to not be hurt at their workplace, even though it's a reality TV set. That kind of blew my mind. And I was like, oh my gosh, I am watching people at work. And that's, that just put a new perspective on it for me, and I appreciated it. And then there was I'm going to have to look up ranked choice voting this weekend when I have time and look into that a little bit more, because that sounds really interesting. I never gave that much thought before, but I will this weekend. So those are my final thoughts. Actually, I have one more. I have a slightly different perspective on the two-party system. I think we really have more than a two-party system right now. It's just that the other parties are pushed to the side, partially of what Paul said, but we have the opportunity to make them bigger. And it is the coalition piece that Paul was talking about. But if we choose not to, well, that's on us. But I'm an optimist. If it didn't work for us, we would change it. So it must be working for us. And it's not that the extremists are getting their way. It's just that voting is not finding the person that is perfect. It's finding the person that gets us a little bit closer to what we all want. So far, that's getting us somewhere. Not the last 4 years. I'm not talking about that. But history in general, we've made some progress. We've got a long ways to go. We've come back a little ways. It's not, I was listening to Obama talk the other day, and he was reflecting on his 12 years in office and 8 years in office. I wish it was 12. I'm sorry. And he, it's just a slip of the tongue. I didn't mean to, but it's true too. So anyways, he was talking about how he expected there to be some setbacks on the progress that he made, no matter who took his place. And that's just life. No matter who takes office, there are going to be some changes, and sometimes change isn't comfortable. And we go backwards sometimes, but we don't go all the way back normally. And we will go forward again. And we'll keep getting that 2 inches forward, 1 inch back, 2 more inches forward, 1 inch back. So we'll be okay in general. And this two-party system is pretty much working for us. If it stops working for us in the long run, we have the power to change it.
Great. Okay. That was Dr. Tanya Davis, who you can find on Twitter at Tanya Davis 1975. All right. You know what time it is, Ricky Z.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yes.
I had a really great time listening to everyone speak. I've learned a lot. Listen to everyone. I think obviously we can tell that there's something not working with the way how people are divided in our country based on our two-party system, and the way that there's this almost blind sense of loyalty on both ends that doesn't necessarily help anyone. So I think we need to look further into that. Also, like Kim said earlier, if you're in Georgia, make sure you check that you're still registered to vote, because there's apparently been some voting purges going on. So make sure you're still registered to vote. Go ahead and get your absentee ballot. Make sure you vote, regardless of what party you're voting for, regardless of who you're voting for. Make sure you vote in the runoff in January. So that's my final thought.
All right, that was Ricky Z, who you can find on her Instagram at Ricky, spelled with an EY, _Z, and Twitter at _Ricky Z, spelled with an EY as well. Thank you for being here, our lovely guest host for the best geek show on the Geek Net.
See y'all Monday.
Right. See y'all Monday. Yes, thank you. Monday. Also, before I go, Winter Wonderettes opens on December 10th at the Springer Opera House. So if you're in Columbus, go out, get your tickets, have a good time, a socially distance and mask wearing time, though. So
don't forget Kim.
I'm gonna go with Kim.
I know good and goddamn well
about to
you
go to
wasn't gonna
Kim. I just thought, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot that I was gonna, while Pa was talking, I was like, I need to say Winter Wonderettes, but then Kim, so I forgot to say it, and then it was your fault.
Oh, don't blame that on me.
All right, Kim.
Whatever. Okay, I took notes.
Oh, did y'all hear the page?
It took so long to get to me. Okay. So, first of all, I have thoroughly enjoyed being on this panel with everyone, and I have really enjoyed hearing your thoughts. And I got my research ready for me this weekend too. I need to learn about these other parties, because you call the Constitution Party. I was like, I ain't never heard of them. I like had it. I don't know if you saw me. I laughed real hard as soon as Sam said, "I think this country is racist." But that's kind of my final thought, is like, call a spade. And I feel like what Rakia was saying about like this kind of blind patriotism and loyalty has blinded us for so long. And I'm saying this as somebody who comes from a military family, like born and bred in this country, etc. Until America rights that wrong that Paul is talking about, until we acknowledge what we have done in our history and like speak truth to what historically has happened in this country, I think we're always going to be living in this like divided world. And I think it's just damn near impossible to hear the other side if we don't if that stuff is not acknowledged first. So the other part of that is that this American-centric idea that America is the greatest country in the whole world and that we got everything figured out, that there are opportunities for us to learn and to grow and to adjust. And yes, the Constitution is an incredible document, but it's a living document that needs to be updated. It's a document that when it was created still had my people enslaved. And did for many years thereafter, so it's a document that needs changing because society has changed. Ultimately, I think the ideals are incredible. And I think we are all still working as a country to reach the ideals of what we wanted it to be. And until we can have that conversation of like, these are things we can work on without being told to get out of this country if you're not happy with it type thing, I think this whole idea of what a two-party system could be or a multi-party system could be is a challenge. So I guess my final thought is to challenge each of us individually and collectively to imagine what America could be and be open and honest about what America has been, and then meet in the middle of that. That would be my challenge for myself and for everyone here. When we think about our government, what's possible, I am optimistic. I'm with Tanya. I'm optimistic that, like I said earlier, that this is a time for change. And I think things could get better. Like, I think this is the next civil rights movement, like Paul was saying. And I think we can move on this one for the next 30, 40 years, just like we did in the 60s and support off of that one. So I'm hopeful for the future and our possibility, but only if we're honest with ourselves. Those are my final thoughts. And vote January 5th, Georgia.
Yep. Excellent. That was Kimberly Render, opera singer extraordinaire, Grammy nominated.
Hey.
Okay. So listen, this was a great conversation. I really enjoy everybody who, when they're passionate and heated, especially because it didn't get personal. You know what I'm saying? I really enjoyed the passion because what it shows you is that at our core, what Americans care about is America. You know what I'm saying? Like, we care about our country. We want our country to be the best it can be. And I think that goes without saying. Now, before I go to my final thought, as always, I have to thank my panelists. I thank you all for being open, honest, and for having a good time and being here. I also want to thank everybody who's watching, whether you hopped in, commented, and had to go. You're going to watch us later. You're listening to us later. Whenever you're tuning in, however you're tuning in, you all are why we do this show. Please like, share, tell your friends about this. If you'd like to be a panelist, make sure you hit us up, admin@woenellymedia.com. Woe is spelled O-E, and Nelly is spelled E-Y at the end. My final thought, I have so many that I forgot during everybody else's final thoughts, but luckily they were kind of tied up in theirs. But overall, what I think is that we have to get to a point to where we're open to these kind of conversations happening on a political level. That's the truth of it. I created this show so that people who didn't have a massive platform understood that our voices actually matter, because we're the ones who really are deciding these things. We're voting. Our vote matters no matter how small it may feel, and our voice needs to be heard. And through dialogue like this, when you're actually talking to people, not just responding to a meme or those kind of things, you're actually getting things done. So when it comes to the two-party system, do yourself a favor and go out and research some of these other parties. I'm going to research them too. It would be great if debates from now on, because I get the money part that someone came up with. It would be great if debates, these national debates, allowed other parties to be there. You know what I'm saying? Just that. Even that little bit would allow these other parties a massive opportunity to reach a lot of people that they might not afford or be able to afford to reach. We as individual citizens need to hold each other to the same fires that we hold others to. You need to be doing your own self-inventory. You need to be checking your shit. Is what I'm doing helpful or harmful? Am I being stubborn or am I being giving? And if you're holding yourself up to that same scrutiny as you are the next man and the next woman, then we can start to get better. But it is a collective thing. It's not just a them, it's a us. So once again, for everyone, I want to thank you for joining us for another episode of Talk It Out, a place where people of opposing viewpoints can get together and have a healthy, productive dialogue in a respectful way. Keeping in mind that it's not always about proving who's right and who's wrong. Sometimes it's simply about listening and being heard. Have a good night.